one of the things I'm realizing very quickly is that it's very important to process pain correctly. Unless you're a masochist, we're always going to have this innate desire to avoid future pain, escape current pain, and maximize enjoyment, whether it's on the short term or the long term. But this becomes kind of difficult in a complicated process once we factor in the concept of time. So some things may help us escape pain in the short term, but end up causing it in the long term. To give a couple examples, drinking. Let's say you take somebody who, kind of like drinks to numb certain thoughts or certain emotions, right? You may be able to escape or dull to the point of not feeling whatever pain it is that, that person is feeling, right? But you do that at the cost of the pain resurfacing later to the same kind of intensity. Let's assume it's at the same intensity. And then on top of that, you may have shame attached to, the use of alcohol for that kind of thing. Because that would be like substance abuse, right? Because you're not using the substance for just, responsible enjoyment, but you're using it as a unhealthy coping mechanism, or what is typically seen as an unhealthy coping mechanism. Something that I'm guilty of, another example, is scrolling to escape some kind of emotion, right? That's a distraction, right? And out of that distraction comes a sort of numbness, or like it shifts your attention so far away from whatever pain, shifts my attention so far away from whatever pain that I'm experiencing that it's like it's not there for me. But as my attention kind of slips in and out of, whatever kind of, reel I'm watching or whatever video I'm watching, right? That pain kind of slips back in and then back out, right? So that is purely a function of attention. And later, after that, distraction and that kind of on and off, variable according to my attention, numbness kind of goes away, the pain or whatever emotion I was facing is still very much there. And then on top of that, chances are I feel bad for scrolling as a coping mechanism, because chances are there was something I was supposed to do, or there's something that I could be doing that would be a better use of my time, right? So in thinking about this, I said, should you avoid the pain you need to face to start what you need to start? Eventually you will feel pain from both procrastination and the shame. So thinking about that, there is another side to this coin, right? Some things will help you avoid future pain at the cost of experiencing some pain in the short term. Some of these are like, your quote unquote good coping mechanisms. Like, let's say exercise regularly. Excuse me. It forces you to face the pain of going to and working out in the gym, right? That is a two-step process. It hurts to think about going to the gym sometimes, right? And it definitely, hurts as you are training your muscles physically, right? But later down the line, you will avoid some like potential like health concerns, provided that you're like exercising correctly and in a healthy way. And you will also have some like mental benefits as well, like improved mood, like balance, like, neurotransmitter levels or whatever. All the things. Exercise is good in the long term. I'm not a scientist, right? But that's one example. And to kind of make this a larger category, I'll say that most disciplined action that serves a meaningful purpose down the line tends to be something that helps you avoid future pain, right? As long as that purpose is meaningful and is in your best interest, in the interest of enjoying your life, and it costs you pain in the beginning, chances are it's going to cost some discipline as well, right? But that's one of the things that will help you avoid pain currently and at the cost of experiencing pain in the short term. So there's pain on both sides, whether it's in the beginning or whether it's, pushed down the road. And I know that I've heard certain, self-improvement YouTubers, just people in general, say life is pain. There's going to be pain regardless of which road you take, right? But you get to choose. And they typically say this in favor of choosing the pain now so that they won't be feeling that same level of pain, or they'll at least have some things to enjoy. They would have built something that they can enjoy on the back end. And to this, I kind of agree. However, I think that it lacks a little bit of nuance. Because when I wanted to challenge this idea, and I sat and I thought about relationships, I think that when we think about pain is something that serves almost no purpose. Pain is a reaction to a certain kind of stress, right? Like, let's say, going back through my examples, right? Someone who is drinking, that emotional pain, right, chances are a reaction to something that has happened, or a reaction to some sort of trauma, or a trauma response, right? You think about me scrolling, right? I'm feeling anxious. I do not want to feel anxious. My anxiety is a reaction to some situations that I've experienced. You think about exercising regularly, right? Even on the other side, that is the pain from that is a reaction to you doing something that you simply do not want to do, right? And the physical pain of it, that is a reaction to the physical stress, right? Now, in a relationship, the pain does not have to entirely be a reaction to the relationship, right? There can be reactions to external factors that find themselves in the relationship, but the reaction does not have to be to the relationship itself. For relationships specifically, that can be more of a challenge, I'm thinking. Because through mutual connection with, respect of, and empathy for each other's emotional, physical, and mental states, maybe the relationship itself can be free of these pain trade-offs and more full of challenge, something that tests consistently instead of hurting eventually. That's just something that I was thinking about, food for thought. I'm thinking a lot about relationships right now, just kind of how I want mine to go, thinking about myself in the context of relationships, and, this is just something that was on my mind. But at the end of the day, whether relationships is a space where, you don't feel that same sort of pain trade-off, either you feel pain now or you feel pain later, right? Pain is still a central part of our lives, and how we cope can help determine our success. So, by definition, a coping mechanism is something that effectively manages stress, pain, and trauma to maintain well-being. Looking at this, we must ensure our coping mechanisms are both effective and maintain our well-being on the time frame that we value. Now, this is something that I'm kind of thinking about, where most coping mechanisms are effective, right? They take effort. Because they take effort, right? Nobody's going to put that effort in a hurt state if it's not effective, right? The alcoholism is effective. The scrolling is effective. The exercise is effective. Going on a walk is effective. Meditating is effective. They're all effective, right? But on what time scale is that effectiveness? So, for example, right, I went through all of the examples of things that are effective, right? But drinking can numb now, right? But it can bring shame and pain later. Scrolling can numb now, but there will be less shame and pain, less shame than, comparison to maybe alcoholism, but there's still going to be that same pain later, right? You take a walk, right? It's hard to start, right? There's pain to start, but instead, the improvement in, the pain response, you're going to feel less pain relatively quickly once the walk starts, or at least that's been my experience. I remember I was in church this past Sunday with my family, and I was sitting there, and I got some more bad news that one of the people that I'm kind of close with in church was in the hospital. I don't know any of the details, right? And on top of that, I was just anxious that day from the jump, and it was just bad. I did not want to hear that at all. Um, so in that moment, I was just anxious. I was angry. Like I couldn't focus on anything. Right. I was sitting and like my leg was like shaking, like bouncing up and down. And eventually I just told my mom, like, hey, I gotta go. I'll be back. So I left, I stepped out, and I just walked. I walked up about like the equivalent of like 2 blocks and then came back. And as I was doing that, I was taking some deep breaths, paying attention to, how my feet hit the ground, really trying to be present. Eventually I found myself like singing because I didn't have my headphones with me, and I love music, but I was just kind of singing to myself, trying to calm myself down, talking to myself, praying, all the things, right? And in that moment, like my anxiety came down so much, and I was able to go back and be fine and pay attention and be involved in the rest of service, right? But up until that point, I couldn't do it. Walking was the thing, or walking, all the things that I did on that walk was able to bring that pain down. And it was kind of difficult to start because I wasn't sure, what the opinion of me would be for leaving in the middle of service. That's just, the culture of, me and my family. But that's that. There was pain in the beginning. There was fear in the beginning, more accurately. But then there was relief very, very soon after. And that's a time frame that I value. Meditation is a little bit different, where in my experience, I've been like trying to work on my ability to meditate, and the sessions are like, they're difficult. Like it's difficult to get started. The first session was bad. The first few sessions are bad. Every time I move like to meditating for a longer time, like I can't focus. Today I couldn't focus when I tried to meditate. But ideally, I can't really say this from experience quite yet, but if I do this for long enough, right, the boost in mood, the boost in mental clarity should be very strong. It should be very worth the effort that it's taking right now to get this started, right? So I say all this to say that with coping mechanisms in dealing with pain, which I still feel is one of the most essential things that you can like master because it helps you see yourself, right? But in dealing with pain, I hope that for me and for you, we would kind of pause for like just for a split second. And when it comes to how we cope, we think about on what time frame this coping mechanism will have its effect. Do we want to feel good right now? Okay, what about later? How is this going to make us feel later? Or will we make the sacrifice now to feel better longer later? Typically, at least in my experience and from what I've heard, it's usually better to just take the pain now to feel better in the long run, because it's always going to be worth the effort. That's just something to think about, though.